be live.
All
So what have you
right.
been up to today, Coop?
Oh, just did some chores, a little bit of grocery shopping, did my weekly head shave.
Of course.
Uh, have to keep it nice and smooth.
You ever thought about waxing?
Waxing. That sounds painful to do weekly.
Probably. Maybe you'd get used to it, though.
You get used to waxing.
Yeah, maybe
I mean, I
maybe you'd
think
eventually get
shaving.
off on it.
I don't think I'll enjoy waxing that much. I do like shaving though. It's refreshing. A freshly shone head.
I imagine it feels nice right after. You
And
put some oil on it or something.
yeah, and then I moisturize.
Smart. Don't want to get dry head. Do you? I imagine you have to sunscreen now, right? Whenever you go outside.
Yeah, or I wear a hat.
Oh, right. Of course, hats are a thing.
And then put sunscreen on the hat. So the hat
That's a
doesn't
little weird.
burn. Oh, the hat's made of skin.
Mm,
Not human skin.
I'm not sure that makes it better. I've been after this one, I'm gonna have to go glaze a ham. It's currently cooking.
Is that a euphemism for something?
No, not a euphemism. It's a. I think it might be a honey ham. I don't know. It's either brown sugar or honey.
Ooh. Wait, so you've got a whole ham?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Cleaning out the freezer as that time of year rolls around. Well, not quite. That ham is probably from Easter, so it's not that old. The turkeys, on the other hand, the turkeys in there are pretty old.
you use your freezer space. I'll give you that.
Hey, you got to have it full to keep it most efficient.
I guess. Yeah.
That's how it works. I had a beer. I tried a pumpkin imperial pumpkin ale from Southern Tier Brewing Company.
You wasted no time. You hit October and you went right to the pumpkins.
Well, I was at the grocery store, and because I already had the ham and the potatoes for this week for ham and mashed potatoes, I was like, oh, I'll just buy some other stuff. And they had two Dragon's Milk Stouts in the build your own 6-pack
Ooh,
section.
I do like dragon milk. Yeah.
And a 4-pack of that is like $17, and the build your own 6-pack was $10, or I think it's $11 now. So I got 2 of those, and then I picked up a couple other things that caught my eye. One of them was, well, 2 of them. One's the Founders Oktoberfest beer, and then the Great Lakes Oktoberfest beer, and the other was this pumpkin ale. It was not good. So I'll come around and say it was pretty bad. Kind of vegetal tasting. I don't know. It was not enjoyable. So glad I didn't buy a 6-pack of it.
Would you say fall is your favorite season?
I enjoy it. Probably. I like that time of year. Yeah, I think so, because it's nice being able to be just slightly cold, right? But I don't like the very start of fall, right, where it's very cold in the morning and then it gets up to 80 by the afternoon. I like where it's very cold overnight, but then it gets up to like maybe 65 during the day. So it's not freezing cold, but you still want to, have a sweatshirt on or something. I like spring for the same reason, where it gets up to 65 and you're in shorts and a t-shirt. But what about you? What's your favorite month?
No, it's definitely fall. Fall's my favorite season.
I do enjoy winter, but after about month 3 of winter, I start getting a little tired of it.
Yeah, if only winter was a little bit shorter. If only globally, I think you're getting a little warmer each year, so the winter would go away.
Well, see, that's the other thing. I don't
ball curls.
I don't like summer for the same reasons. I don't like how hot it is.
I definitely don't like summer that much for the heat.
Yeah. I prefer my only gripe with winter is how damn gray it is. The sun is never out. But those sunny winter days are nice. I enjoy those. Oh.
Fall's probably my favorite.
Yeah. I hope we get more fall than we got spring this year. At least here it was, I swear, we had a week of 70s and then it was in the 80s and 90s. There was nothing.
Yeah, sometimes it's gone a little too fast.
Good thing that's not going to keep getting shorter and shorter as time goes on, huh?
Here today, gone tomorrow.
I did have that thought when I was walking earlier. Went for a little walk. I walked outside. I'm like, it's like 75, almost 80 degrees out here. It's October 1st. This isn't normal. Because I remember when I was a kid, we would go trick-or-treating, and sometimes the first snow of the year would happen before or during Halloween. That doesn't happen anymore.
No. Too late, buddy. It's the seasons are changing.
And it's not like I'm that old. I say that like I'm an old man. No, that was...
Yeah, because you grew up during the Eisenhower administration, if I recall.
We joke about it, but that, I mean, realistically, that was probably like, what, under 20 years ago? Because I remember I had a really sick Darth Vader costume one year, but my mom made me wear a coat because there was snow on the ground. And it was Halloween. So, yeah. That's going to be fun. That's aren't you looking forward to dealing with that in our silver years?
I'm looking forward to dealing with it now.
It's going to be much worse then, is what I'm saying.
We'll be old by then.
Yeah. Realistically, something could be done about it, but will anything be done about it? Almost certainly not. I'm doing my part, but it doesn't really count for much.
Oh, and listeners, just so you know, he's speeding up global warming. He goes out and sprays aerosol cans just into the atmosphere.
I have a stockpile of all those little... No, that was the ozone layer, Cooper. That has... Granted, that does have an effect on how much energy reaches the surface, but that was specifically a hole in the ozone layer.
Oh, tomato.
Not heating up the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. I think I've been veg for like the last 2 weeks. Not even intentionally, just it happened.
You've been what?
Vegetarian.
Oh, that's good.
I really don't eat meat as much as I used to. Granted, I'm cooking a whole ham right now.
I was going to say, he says this, he's going to glaze a ham.
But I bought that during Easter when it was like 40 cents a pound. I'm not going to pass that up. That's just efficient. And that ham's going to last me like 2 or 3 weeks.
Hey, pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. I don't feed into their profits. I only buy it when they're losing money on the sale. Also, I just got your email with the test recording on my PC now. So you really sent it fairly recently.
It's like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. All right, well, you want to get into it? We got a little secret thing to do after this. So we should probably get through this and not ruin our voices too much.
Let's jump right in.
So hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop podcast. This week, in preparation for the new Rolling Stones album coming out on the 20th, we are doing Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones. I'm speaking for myself, I haven't really listened to much Rolling Stones ever. Maybe I know a couple of their songs, but they've never really been a constant for me. What about you, Coop? Have you listened to a lot of Stones?
No, I've never listened to much Stones.
I always just think of them
I read their magazine occasionally.
Yeah, exactly, but they're not even named after the band. They're named after the one Bob Dylan song. So
yeah, no, we're going into this album relatively Stones novices.
Mm-hmm. I am fairly familiar with a couple English rock bands, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, but I'll give a little bit of background on the Rolling Stones. So they are an English rock band formed in London back in 1962.
They're old.
So they are always over 50 years old at this point.
Jagger's in his 90s, isn't he?
I don't think he's in his 90s, but
he's at least 80.
Probably his 80s. Yeah, he's 80. Yeah, but they've been around for a while, and they're releasing a new album here soonish, I believe.
20th.
Which is this month. Which is crazy to think about, right? Releasing a album 50 years after they've released their first album.
Yeah.
No. Most bands don't have that sort of longevity.
No. Most absolutely do not.
So got to give them respect that they managed to make it this far.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah. So they formed all the way back in '62 with lead vocalist Mick Jagger. That's two names of Mick Jagger. That's not his last name, Mick Jagger. Multi-instrumentalist Brian Jones, guitarist Keith Richards, bassist Bill Wyman, and drummer Charlie Watts. Um, and they are one of the best-selling artists of all time, right? 200 million sales,
Mhm.
3 Grammys, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all that jazz. Um, the Rolling Stone magazine ranked them one of the best, greatest bands of all time.
They're not biased at all.
Not biased at all. And Exile on Main Street is it's their 10th British album, but their 12th American album. I don't know how releases were working back then, but it's kind of considered like they're like just like their streaming successes in the late 60s, early 70s, right? With Let It Bleed, Sticky Fingers, um, and it's kind of known for its murky, inconsistent sound due to its disjointed musicianship and production, along with a party-like atmosphere heard on several tracks. Classic hard rock stuff. Um, and apparently it was originally met with pretty mixed reviews in the 70s. It's kind of since then been kind of reassessed as being one of the greatest rock albums of all time. Rolling Stones ranked it number 7 on their 500 greatest albums of all time.
They're not biased at all.
No, of course. And it was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, yada, yada, yada. So with all that said, Sam, we can get into the album with track number 1, Rocks Off.
Yeah, one real quick thing I wanted to mention. Even though Charlie just passed away, right, very recently, I believe they finished all of the stuff for the new album before he passed. So he is still on the latest album. But we'll get into that more when we do the new album.
Yes, he contributed several tracks on the album before his death.
Just passed away within the last year, I think.
He died in 2021. So yeah.
Okay,
probably
a few years
within the
out,
last
then.
2 years.
I thought it was much more recent than that. Anyway, Rocks Off. The song, not anything else.
Yeah, so it starts with a bluesy rock sound.
No, this is country, Cooper.
This is, I would not call this country.
Now, what would you call
this blue? I would call it blues.
What would you call the Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash? I guess he's pretty bluesy too.
Johnny Cash was an American country singer, Cooper.
Okay.
This is country. This is old school. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about modern country. I'm talking about this is old school, which, blues is very similar to country.
Not really. I'm not really sure what you're not really sure what that Johnny Cash. This is the Rolling Stones. He's not part of the Rolling Stones.
I know, but I'm Folsom Prison Blues.
Donald Duck is a cartoon. Rolling Stones are a cartoon.
I'm saying the line between country and blues is very thin.
No, that's fair. They share a lot of similar DNA.
I
musical
believe
cousins,
this is a country
so
song.
to speak. Certainly the lines between folk, blues, country, rockabilly, and
Yes.
rock and roll kind of comes out of all that in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the origin.
But I lean to it being a little more blues with the piano, with the trumpet.
It's got a honky-tonk piano. That's country to me.
That's blues to me.
Blues is only sad
Elton
songs.
John uses a honky-tonk piano, and he doesn't do country.
Yeah, well, that's different. He's doing the honky-tonk. You use honky-tonk piano in multiple things.
Haha. Trapped. But yeah, this is this whole album's a lot less, I guess, classic rock than I was expecting.
It's also a lot less
country,
polished than I was expecting.
Yeah, definitely I guess that was kind of part of its charm. Is its inconsistent sound, as Wikipedia put it.
Is it charm to have the vocals mixed so far back that they're incomprehensible?
Oh, the vocal mixing on this album is not great.
That is putting it it is some of the worst I've heard, I'll be honest.
It's very
I'll have continued insults for it as we go along.
It's consistent, I'll give it that.
It's consistently bad, yes.
It's consistently far back in the mix.
Yeah, much in a way that a good bowel movement has a consistency, yes.
Oh my goodness.
I do love the trumpets. The trumpets are nice.
I do like the trumpets. Yeah, not a super big fan of the singing, though.
No.
I mean, it's super far in the back, and I mean, I guess it's got personality, but it's not exactly technically proficient.
No, he's not a very good singer. I do like the weird guitar wah effect on the vocals around the 2:15-ish mark, but as I said, his vocal performance is not very good.
Mr. Jagger.
No. Which, hey, I mean, they've been successful despite it, so it's probably because their instrumental writing is top-notch.
Which we can go then on to track number 2 here. Rip This Joint, which is a straight up sock hop song.
Yes. How you feeling about this one?
What's this, a Jeff Lynne album?
I was gonna say, aren't these guys British? Why is there so much country and sock hop?
Wasn't Jeff Lynne British?
Yeah, but that's only the occasional. This is the first half or more of this album is old school country.
Yeah, it's a very throwback. I mean, this was the early 70s, so even by then the sound was kind of old.
Yeah.
So not sure this maybe like the sock hop style anymore. I mean, Mick Jagger's vocals are a lot more gruff than I guess your average sock hop singer.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe a little more yellier.
Yeah, quite a bit yellier. We do get a very nice sax solo, though, around the 50-second mark, which is very high. I couldn't tell if it was alto or not. It might be a bit higher than that, but very, very nice solo. And it rolls right into that bombastic brass around the 125 mark, which really drives the song home. Not to diminish the piano player that's constantly going ham in the background throughout the whole song. This is I do not like the vocals, but again, instrumentally, this is a fantastic song.
Yeah, I like the sax solo. That's pretty nice. Gives me it's a little sitcom-y sax.
Yeah, a little bit. That's a good way to describe it.
And I feel like I'm watching the opening to Full House. But,
yeah.
Okay, maybe not that cheesy, but I guess when you pair it with the sock hop,
yeah, almost there.
It inevitably has that layer cheese on it.
That's all I got for this one. I'm surprised you didn't have more to say. You always love those sock hop tracks.
I mean, what more can I say about sock hop that I had already said?
That's true.
On a scale of sock hop songs that I've encountered, this one's not the worst.
What is the worst?
I'd actually have to think about that a little bit. Probably one of Jeff Lynne's.
Wow, rude. Okay, well, let's move on then.
He's done like 20 of them. One of them has to be the worst.
Track number 3.
Yeah, track number 3. Shake Your Hips.
Sharp Dressed. Oh yeah, Shake Your Hips. Not Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top.
Shake Your Hips.
Which definitely is what it sounds like at the start.
I'm pretty sure this came before ZZ Top.
Probably. So. I was thinking it is really odd though how not now, but it used to be the thing where you would just take the vocals out of a song and take the backing track and then just make a new song over top of it. That happened quite a few times. Oh yeah, Ice Ice Baby versus shit.
Under Pressure.
Under Pressure. Thank you. I blanked. What's the other one? Oh, there's another really famous one that I always forget about. But I know I'm not going to remember. You talk while I look it up.
Oh, this one goes back to bluesy. It has this like very rapid like tapping in the background, like drumstick to rim, and some like sax flourishes on like this kind of repeating guitar riff. It's pretty sparse instrumentally, but it does have some harmonica on the back end, which I'll give him credit there. I will say the vocals are so far back in this mix.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Throughout this entire album, it's just like, I'm not sure. Just to be clear, we're listening to the 2010 remaster.
Which
so I'm not sure if was it better the original?
There's no way. I just how much worse would it have been in the old one if this is the remaster?
Well, maybe the remaster messed it up.
Maybe, but then why is it out there still, right? Why would they even release it if they fucked it up?
I mean, people have been screwing up music for forever.
That's true.
Here, maybe let me see if I can find a quick of the original release.
But I will say that this one has no. Speaking of, it's mainly vocals with how bad they are. There's not really much instrumental growth in this one until about the last 30 seconds. it's just they try and rely on the vocals when they're not present throughout the entire song.
It's just, I mean, they're present in some parts, but most of it's kind of sparse.
Yeah.
Again, I do like that harmonica.
Yeah, the harmonica's good, but I'm not having much luck. There's one example that I always think of. I mean, Ice Ice Baby and I blanked it again. Under Pressure. Thank you. I can't pull things off the cuff. This is why I write things down. I'm not good at pulling them off the cuff.
Here, let's go on to track number 4 while you're thinking.
Okay. The thought has already left my brain. It's not. I'm not going to find it.
Casino Boogie, which is an old school boogie song.
The vocals are moved even further back in this one.
There's 2 of them now. There's a female and male kind of duet thing going on here.
Yeah, not that you can understand anything that's being said. I mean, I would like to point out this was made in 1972, and people did know how to mix music by this point.
I was about to say, this is in the Stone Age, right?
Yeah, this isn't the dawn of time. This is 1972. We had already experienced some of the poor stereo stuff by this point, I think, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Sarah was kind of in the 60s.
So they figured out we had the Beatles and the Beach Boys experimenting with that, and then everybody heard that and it's like, okay, so that's how you not do it. Let's do it properly now. But Rolling Stones, being innovators in their field, decided let's forget how to mix.
Yeah, the vocals are very far back in the mix.
Yeah.
Per usual. Not that I particularly care for the vocals anyways.
No, I'm not sure them being in the front would fix it.
I'm like, oh man, these vocals are so nice. It's just I wish they were at the front.
But I spent the next song, not this track, but the next one. I'll get to it there, but it's just you want to hear them. For this one though, we got another good sax solo. Although it reminds me a little bit of that From Out of Nowhere piano solo at the start. That's just a single note.
I do not know what you're talking about.
Oh, you'd remember if you heard it. You don't listen to it as often as I do. But,
no one listens to it as often as you do.
That's true. Well, you say that, but this year I have not been listening to as much ELO. We'll see when the Spotify...
You'll only be in the top 0.005%?
I don't know if I'll even be in the top, Cooper. We'll see. I've not been listening to a lot. I did just listen to the entirety of the Time album yesterday, bonus tracks included. But okay.
Okay.
That doesn't happen very often these days. So
yes. Here, we'll move on then to track number 5, Tumblin' Dice. Which I do like the vocals a little bit more on this one. Kind of like a group vocal thing going on.
Cooper, I'll be honest, I couldn't even tell if they were speaking English, with how far back in the mix it was. I didn't listen to anything but the vocals. The first thing I heard for certain that I understood what was being said was partner in crime around 1:30. I sat there for 1:30 seconds, desperately trying to understand anything being said, and I could not. But you're right, the backing vocals are very nice in this.
I do like the chorus on this one. Mm-hmm. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I do appreciate the backing vocals are clear.
I mean, there is a part where like the interpretation kind of drops out, like the 2:30 part, and just the vocals. I think it's kind of nice, and then the drums kick back in.
Yeah, but that's the only part where it's readable.
I don't think the lyrics are containing some sort of great secret truth here, no. To be honest.
Actually, this album contains the secret to immortality.
Wow, no wonder Mick Jagger's still rocking.
Yeah. Jump into track 6 if you're ready, Coop.
Yeah, track number 6, Sweet Virginia. Which is probably around this point. I'm like, oh, this is basically just a straight up blues country album.
Yes, yeah.
I was expecting a little more rock and roll in my rock.
Which is why I greatly contend with this being one of the greatest hard rock albums of all time. This is not a hard rock album. This is a country album.
Yeah, I think the definition of hard rock has shifted over the years.
I don't know in what world this would ever be considered hard rock.
I think anything with like any amount of aggressive guitar playing is considered hard rock.
That's not
Um,
true. I mean, Johnny Cash was a thing by this point. We knew what country was. We knew what blues was. This is, I don't know. Sometimes, not to say, oh, we're high and mighty because we do this on the internet, but sometimes those professional music critics seem like they're sucking their own dicks a little bit. And each other's. Because sometimes they have really bad takes.
Yeah, I think the difference between like early hard rock and late hard rock is they're really not the same genre.
Yeah.
Or at least there should be some sort of differentiator, right?
But
between the two.
It's 72, Cooper. I'm pretty sure we had hard rock by that point.
Kind of. I think this is still pretty early in what's considered hard rock, right?
We had rock, at least.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
And this is not even falling into that category.
Yeah, this is still very country-ish, blues-ish.
Yes. I mean, granted, that's kind of the origins of rock, but it's the 70s. This isn't a new concept.
I'm sure we're still kind of floating around in there, right?
Yeah.
You're not exactly their Guns N' Roses yet.
True, yeah. Although that's considered classic rock these days.
Yeah, I think it's just the shifting definitions of music.
Yeah. But yeah, for this one, I thought it was very kind that Mick Jagger decided to sing for us while he's on the shitter through the door.
At least he cracked the door a little bit. Yeah. No, I can take it from here.
This is the point where I thought, how bad does the non-remaster sound? You listened to a minute of it. How is it?
I couldn't really tell the difference, honestly.
Of course.
Maybe the instrumentation was a little louder, but that was just from a quick minute of it. I mean, at this point, I just accepted the vocals are going to be far back in the mix. That's how they did it.
Yeah. I just couldn't believe that an album with this terrible of mixing was ranked 7th of all time. No.
I mean, it was obviously intentional. They did it consistently throughout the album.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the nails on the chalkboard sound, it was intentional. It was for a comedic effect.
Are the vocals far back in the mix and nails on the chalkboard to you, Sam?
I'm just saying, just because something is intentional does not make it good.
I like to think of it as the way of, okay, if it's intentional, how does this benefit the album? And I'd prefer to be upfront, but I don't think it's necessarily detrimental to the noise.
It benefits the album in that you cannot hear Mick Jagger singing.
Well, I mean, I prefer the instrumentation to the singing anyway, so in that way, yes, it's beneficial.
At that point, just drop the singing. But yeah, I would say I would be being a lot meaner if the instrumentals weren't so good. The instrumentals on this album are fantastic. They are very good.
The brass and sax are consistently performing well. Mm-hmm. I like the harmonica when it jumps in. Some of the guitar instrumentation, especially later in the album, I really enjoy as well.
Yes. Yeah, the harmonica on this one as well. Just lovely. Fantastic. Jumping to track 7, if you're ready, Coop.
Yes. Track 7, Torn and Frayed.
I didn't think they could do it, but the backing track in this one is mixed even higher.
Yeah, it was yeah, this album of singing is kind of funny. I'd like to hear like a live performance of this album.
I imagine it probably sounds about the same.
I'm just curious.
They actually don't give Jagger a mic, and you just have to. The volume of it is how close you are to the stage.
You have to hear the mic through like the guitar mic.
Oh God!
No one had the heart to tell him that he wasn't mic'd up.
It was purposeful. They did it on purpose, Cooper. But we do get a nice bit of rock organ peeking out here to shake things up the sound a bit, which is kind of needed. It's the instrumentals are very good, but in addition to having evolution over the course of a song, you also kind of need some evolution in the album so it doesn't get stale. And we get a little bit of rock organ in here at this point, 7 tracks in, which is very nice.
I do like that rock organ.
We also get a nice fun guitar solo around the 145 mark that has mixing effects to make it soar over everything else. So they clearly know something about mixing, but just for the instruments.
I mean, this is their 12th album. It's not like they're new to this whole, music making thing.
Yeah.
This album also had more piano on it than I was expecting.
I'm not complaining though. It was
Yeah, I'm not complaining about
consistently very good throughout.
No, I'm just a little surprised. I came into this with a different expectation to what I thought the Rolling Stones would be.
Yes, when they said hard rock, I had something else in my head, not country music.
I was thinking more, Guns N' Roses, or I don't know who else is hard rock.
Metallica.
No, Metallica's almost that's like metal.
It's in the name.
Metal, hard rock-tica.
They tried that; it didn't stick.
yeah, but I was thinking like closer to, I don't know, like maybe Aerosmith, AC/DC.
Yeah.
I guess that's a little later, right? But even like Led Zeppelin, right? They're the 60s, right? So
AC/DC was formed in 73, so it's not that much later.
Yeah, so, certainly wasn't expecting this much blues and country and kind of influence in there.
Yeah, this one was just a country song. That's all this one was.
All right, we'll go on to track number 8 then. Sweet Black Angel.
This one starts off with a nice agogo, I believe is how it's said, and also I think that's what it is. It's the wood block with the ridges on it that you stroke. It does kind of have
like that wood scratching sound in the background.
Yeah, it almost sounds metallic though, so I'm not sure if I'm accurate there. But that's kind of what it sounded like to me. But this one had a lot of nice instrumental diversity in it. They snuck some marimba in there at the end as well. And I did not think a country style harmonica with marimba would work, but it did.
It does. It's pretty pleasant.
Yeah. They get bonus points for that for sure.
And I do know I was arguing about hard rock earlier, but like these songs are pretty mellow.
Yes.
like I'm getting kind of relaxed listening to these, with her marimba and the harmonica in the background.
Yeah.
The vocal so far back in the mix is like, oh man. Mick Jagger was doing ASMR. What's the thing?
This one, while I do enjoy the instruments on this one, they tried to balance the guitar only in the right while the vocals were in the left, far back in the mix. It did not work, but that'd be too much to expect them to start making good mixing decisions this far into the album.
Yeah, at the very least, they're not doing too much of that kind of mixing.
Yeah, this was the only one that stuck out to me. It's like, why did you do that? That doesn't work. Sometimes it does, and when it does, it works very well. But the sad part is when it works, you don't really even notice it, and when it doesn't work, you really notice it.
Let's move on to track number 9 then. Loving Cup. We're only halfway through the album, Sam.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it moving. Long album.
Yeah, it's
an 18 track album. It's like
18 tracks, hour long. We haven't done one this long in a while. Yeah. I will say, 9 tracks in, I will give them props for hiring a deaf mixing artist. I appreciate, giving everyone a chance.
He's probably just hard of hearing.
For real though, it is so bad. Like at this point I was like, I'm just gonna ignore the vocals. I would say treat the vocals as an instrument, but they don't have that quality because Mick Jagger's not very good at singing on this album. And the delivery on every song is basically the same.
I mean, I don't think Mick Jagger's known for his vocal, ability necessarily. More like a personality. Which, I mean, to be fair, singing does convey a lot of personality.
Oh, yes. His singing conveys a lot of personality. But that's about all you can say about it. But in this one, they do sneak in some instruments again. At the end, there's a little bit of steel drum, I think.
Yeah, they keep kind of sneaking in these like different little instruments. Like the trumpet will come into like an interesting way, or like this song ends on kind of a bit of a chaotic, kind of dissonant trumpeting.
Mm-hmm. It's just nice. The fact that there's thought going into the instrumental where there's not thought put elsewhere.
I think Mr. Jagger, at least for me, isn't the selling point of this band.
No, not at all.
Track
10, if you're ready.
Track 10, Happy. I will admit the blues was growing on me a little bit by this point. Again, I just accepted the vocals. And once you do, you're like at peace. You achieve like nirvana.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't get there. The guitar was fun for about a minute here, but then it kind of got old. It was a pretty short loop on that guitar. There was the one again, just brain dead mixing things here. There was an attempt at a guitar solo around the 1 minute mark, but it's left behind the backing guitar, so you can't even hear it.
Okay.
Is that all?
No, I mean, I was trying to catch it. I'm sorry.
I know.
Back to try to catch it.
I'm like, okay, Cooper, I appreciate that you're listening to this album while we do this, but this is a long break. You haven't said anything.
I tried to find it in the mix. Okay, I do like this trumpets on this song as well.
Yes, the trumpets and the bass. I think it's a bass sax on this make an appearance that's very welcome. But that guitar solo, I was like, really? Come on, guys. You did it so well earlier with the solo soaring over the top, and here you don't even bother.
Like I said, maybe they're just trying to, I don't know, keep it classy on this album, right? Have a little decorum.
What? That doesn't even make any sense.
And then we go into track number 11, Turn on the Run.
No defense.
I was trying to find a good segue to make that joke. Which is a funny name for a track. I'll give you that.
It is funny. Again, this is quite a country feeling track.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's got a harmonica solo.
Yeah.
It's got that singing way back in the mix.
Yeah, as always. It feels like it's building to something that never really comes, is my point. Unless you count what sounds like Jagger going falsetto. I'm not sure if I caught that, but it's so far back because I can't even say for certain if that's what it was.
They're singing on the song?
I thought that's what I heard, but maybe I heard something else.
He does scream a little in the back half.
Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Like I said, I gave up trying to listen to the vocals. I couldn't. I felt like an old man.
What?
What do you say?
What do you say? You have one of those giant brass ear things.
Exactly, yeah.
Speak up, Sonny. I'll go on to track number 12 then. Ventilator Blues.
Remarkably not released during the COVID years.
They had ventilators before 1972, Sam.
I believe they were called iron lungs back then.
Yes. This was for whooping cough. Yeah, this one's a little more, kind of like a gruffer, dirtier instrumentation to it. It's kind of like a lot of personality. Kind of this darker, bluesy brass.
Yeah, this one is definitely more bluesy than country. It has some proper building as well. You know, it brings in the sax and the piano on top of the heavily looping guitar and the very far back in the mix vocals.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying at this point.
Yeah.
With an ending that kind of loops on itself.
There's also another
bobbin.
Yeah, and there's the guitar solo in there that's in there somewhere, but it's not on top, so I couldn't really hear it. But they do a rollover at the end. That's new.
That caught me a little off guard, actually. I'm like, whoa.
I was excited, and then we rolled into track 13.
Track number 13. I just want to see his face. Which I did like that. I do give points to the rollover.
Yes. But there was nothing to this song. There was a joke to be made about how far back the vocals are in the start, but I'm not going to go for that low-hanging fruit, and nothing happened in this song.
Yeah, this is almost like an intermission, really.
Yeah.
It's not isn't a bad thing to have on an album.
Well, it's not good, but it's not bad. It's just there. It's like a filler episode of an anime.
It's just like so mild.
Yeah. Was it necessary? No. But will it be someone out there's favorite song on the album? Also no. You didn't need to pad the hour-long album. You could have just, just dropped it.
I kind of appreciate it Kind of like an extended outro. At least something different for the album.
Again, just
not a bad,
different doesn't mean
song.
better.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not like
it's also not good.
Good.
It's just there. When they did the rollover, I was like, "Ooh, okay, something exciting's coming," and then it was just nothing.
Very, like cotton candy, right? Not real much to it.
Yeah, it'd be like you're at school and your mom picks you up and is like, "I got you something special," and you're like, "Oh boy!" and you get home, it's toast. It's like, oh, okay, it's not what I was expecting, but at the same time, it's not bad, but you didn't need to build up to it like that.
Well, how about we build up then to track number 14, Let It Loose. The longest song of the album.
Mm-hmm. It's got some big Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds energy on the guitar at the start.
Yeah, a little warbly, a little more dramatic with the piano backing.
Mm-hmm. The backing vocals on this one are quite nice as well. The guitar is quite looped. It's a kind of a simple sound to it, so it works. It doesn't get annoying at all.
It's simple, so it's not too standoutish there.
Get a nice trumpet feature.
I do like the trumpet. I do like the more dramatic delivery on this song.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and the backing vocals, pretty choice here.
I think it works that the vocals aren't really trying to say anything than short little stings. Because in a lot of the other tracks, there's lyrics, which you can't hear. And in this one, it's kind of just noises, which works better when it's that far back in the mix. You can understand a noise. You can't understand a full eulogy.
Not that I think that's what they were going for on any of these songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, once the brass breaks in, I think the song really all comes together.
Jump to track 15, though, if you're ready, Coop.
Yes, track number 15, All Down the Line.
And this is honestly some of the cleanest vocals on the album, I think. They're still just as far away, but they're not muddy.
Maybe the closest the album comes to hard rock?
Yeah, it definitely more of a rock vibe to this one than just country, but I don't think it would classify as hard rock just yet. Yeah,
certainly the most, I guess, maybe traditionally rock and roll song on the album.
Mm-hmm. And then we hit that 1:15 mark, and it's so dense. There's so much going on with all those instruments. There's trumpet, there's piano, and it's super short, too. Very interesting, and it just kind of smacks you and then leaves. You're like, oh, hold on, what was that?
Yeah, that part and the ending part has like a very big band feel to it, right? Mm. And it's a nice fun guitar solo, like the 2:15 mark.
This is a long song.
No. It's only like 4 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, very nice. Nice change of pace, for sure.
Yeah, a rock and roll song on this album. Who knew?
Rock and roll on one of the supposed greatest hard rock albums of all time. Jumping to track 16.
Yeah, track number 16, Stop Breaking Down. Which has this, I mean, it starts with some bluesy guitar, but also like this very whistly, I don't know what to call it. Like, I guess it's harmonica?
I said it almost sounds like Sputnik has a feature at the start of the track here.
Yeah, it's like very high and whistly.
Yeah.
It's almost like someone's playing like the highest note on a harmonica repeatedly.
Yeah. Sputnik.
And this was, actually, no, this would have been after Sputnik.
Yes. It's got some real screechy guitar here. Around the 1 minute mark, but it's mixed near the front during the solo, which is nice. There is a nice little swap during the solo, though, between the supporting guitar taking over the solo and the screeching guitar fading back. That was some very good mixing. That was really interesting. I like that quite a lot.
Yeah, I feel like this album, quite honestly, gets better as you go through it.
Yes.
Like, I don't know why they led with the weaker songs. I mean, at this point, it's like, okay, I kind of see what you're doing. And of course, the harmonica kind of pops off too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all I had for this one. I'm ready for 17 if you are, Coop.
Yeah, track number 17, Shine a Light. which brings it back down a little more mellow again.
Yeah, we get another appearance of the rock organ, which is nice. I will say that I was slightly checked out by the time I got to writing this section. The mixing had really gotten to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I can't say I'm a fan of the mixing here. I guess it's going for like almost like a kind of a rock love ballad thing here. Obviously, a little more dramatic. Then it picks up later in the song, right? When the piano comes in, energy picks up.
Yeah,
and the backing vocals comes in as well. I quite like that.
There's that really interesting organ effect around the 3-minute mark, which is, I'd say, probably one of the more interesting things that happens on this album. I really enjoyed that quite a bit. And this feels like a very good song to play the album out on. It really sounds like the final track, but it's not.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
You would think that.
No, because we have one track left. The final track on the album, Soul Survivor.
Soul, spelled S-O-U-L, not S-O-L-E,
like,
yes.
It's like a soul, like blues soul, like the music.
Yeah.
Do you get it, Sam?
I get it.
Okay, good.
This is not a good final song. It feels tacked on, I'll be honest.
I mean, it's a blues song. I guess it's more representative of the album.
Yeah, but it's not. The last one was like, oh yeah, this is the final track. This one is just like, okay, you did this already. Why are we listening to this again?
Like, I mean, not all bands, especially back in the 70s, care too much about album structure.
But that's how music was sold. It makes more sense today that they don't care because people just listen to one-offs.
Look, hey, take it up with Mick Jagger.
I will. Where's he live? I'll go talk to him.
I'm guessing he probably lives in a very big house somewhere.
I'll just start knocking on doors till I find him. But yeah, that's the last. You have anything else for this one, Cooper? That's all I had. It's a song.
No. It's definitely a blues song to end out
on. But that is the album. I had some gripes to pick with some of the ratings of this. A pivotal hard rock album, really. I would say a more fitting title is the most pivotal house music album, since it relates just as much.
I was hoping techno.
Yeah. You might get away with it that some of the drum kit stylings are rock, yes, but it is overall country. And also one of the greatest albums of all time, really.
Number 7.
That's no.
Top 10.
If you listen to any more than 7 albums, this immediately drops out of the ranking. And I'm not just being mean because it's old. You know, I'm a fan of Paul McCartney's Granny songs, so...
Okay, fair.
I love every single one of those, so it's not because it's old music. It's just not good. The mixing is just holy shit. Like, I don't know if it's the worst we've ever heard, but it might be the worst we've ever heard.
Look, worse is subjective. Is it bad? Yes. But it's consistently that way. So at the very least, it strikes me as intentional.
Just because it's consistently shit doesn't make it any better.
Well, is the instrumentation better than the singing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then, maybe there's some merit to that.
Yeah. But at that point...
It's non-traditional mixing.
At that point, just don't have any singing. Hot take. If you think it's that bad that you have to put it that far down and it detracts, don't have singing.
Not all mixing has to be the same.
I know, but I'm saying... And music is subjective, but my opinion's right. I don't know. Anyway, what was your least favorite track, Cooper? I wonder if we're going to agree on this one.
I didn't like Rip This Joint.
Really? Oh yeah, duh. It's Sock Hop. I should have assumed that.
I mean, I like blues certainly more than Sock Hop. This one sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't mind why they made it the second song of the album.
Yeah, that's this whole album doesn't make sense. I'll be honest.
Yeah, the song structure on it. What about you?
Shake Your Hips for me, because it starts off with Sharp Dressed Man, and then there's no growth to it. It's trying to rely on the instrumentals, or trying to rely on the vocals rather. which it can't do because they're bad. So, very interesting choice for the first couple of tracks on this album. I feel like they put some of the worst stuff first.
They really front-loaded it.
Yeah. What about your favorite? What would you say your favorite track is?
I like Tumbling Dice. That was a fun song with the group vocals. I also was a fan of Let It Loose.
Yeah, I agree with that
which
one.
had a nice brass progression,
Mhm.
more very nice, beautiful backing vocals. Had a nice song progression.
Mhm.
A little more dramatic. What about you, Sam?
Let It Loose was my second favorite, I would say. My first favorite would probably have to be Shine a Light. With that organ effect around the 3-minute mark, that was like, okay, yeah. I didn't like the album, but this is a closer song. And then they ruined it with track 18, but that's besides the point. That one just spoke to me for some reason. The only one on the album that really spoke to me. But that's the album. We got to rate it now, Cooper. I think you did it last time.
Yeah, I think I did.
So I'll go ahead and explain how we rate things here. So here at Audio Shop Podcast, we use a car-themed rating system because actually, Cooper and I brought cars to the world. We actually time traveled back in time and taught Ford how to make cars.
Yep.
So this is kind of the first time we're mentioning it, but just slide it in there. You're welcome.
We didn't really want to bring it up because he's turns out Ford was really racist.
Yeah. Well, also the whole global warming thing. Hindsight's 2020. So, are bad. Anyway, at the tip top, cream of the crop, we've got Showroom. That's 5 out of 5. Best of the best. You need to listen to this album. You need to tell other people to listen to this album. It is amazing. And then we've got Bottom of the Barrel, 1 out of 5. Scrapyard, ooh, yuck, I am actively dying listening to this album. So, Cooper, what would you say Exile on Main Street, rated as the 7th greatest album of all time, is on our scale?
It's pretty conflicting. Because there's definitely components of this album I did not enjoy. The singing, the mixing, but there's definitely components I thoroughly enjoyed. The instrumentation throughout was fantastic. And I enjoyed the album the more I listened to it, which is always a good thing, right? Which is, as the album goes along, I think the songs get better. I do think it has a pretty rough start, though. It's got some fun moments. It's got some bluesy moments. I mean, if you go and just kind of scrub the record of it being a hard rock album, more kind of a bluesy country album, then I think it's a passable listen, right? I'd give it a fixer-upper. Certainly not the 7th best album of all time.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But I can, if you squint really hard, I can see why people would like exponentially enjoy this album. I don't, but I still think it's a decent enough listen. What about you, Sam?
I guess it makes a little more sense than people enjoying Bob Dylan. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give this a used rental. The mixing is just really bad, man. I do quite enjoy I'll give it a high used rental. I do quite enjoy the instrumentals, but when you're having to fuck with the mixing so much because the vocals are that bad, just make an instrumental album, man. I don't see how this is even the north side of the top 500. Like, it is not a good album. It's okay, but I'm sure that people drooling over it so much has made me rate it lower. But it's not that good. I mean, where's Dark Side of the Moon fall on that ranking? Probably on their ranking below this, and that's wrong.
It might be higher. There's 7.
There's 6 above this. But yeah, so if you didn't already know, Rolling Stones magazine, not a very good source for information.
Oh, they're biased.
They're extremely biased, but they're treated as the book of the Lord. They're named after a Bob Dylan song, for fuck's sake. That should already ruin their credibility. Anyway, enough about ragging on Dylan. That's the show we got for you today. We're going to roll on over now to the spare tire, which is just whatever else we've been listening to. I actually have a couple of things this week, Cooper. I've been trying to listen to some new stuff. I've been listening to some Gareth Donkin.
Good.
I've been showing him off as well. I've been playing him for friends and family, saying, "Who do you think this sounds like?" They're like, "It kind of sounds like a young Michael Jackson." I'm like, "I told you."
And then you show them a picture of him, and they go, "Ah!"
And I'm like, "He's a middle-aged white man."
Oh, he's younger than middle-aged.
Almost.
The mustache doesn't help, though.
It does not help. Actually, he might be younger than us. That's concerning.
Oh, well, then maybe he is middle-aged. Obviously, we're in our late 50s. So.
Right, of course. Listening to quite a bit of Mystery Skulls recently. I know I was talking last week about Polyphia. I've been listening to their stuff, listening through that. Let me go to my liked songs. That's where stuff is. I've been listening this weekend. I've been listening to "Do It All the Time" by I Don't Know How on loop. I don't know where I heard it before or why it came back up, but man, I love that song. I discovered a band called CRX and have been listening to them. They've got a couple of. I've been in a bit of a harder rock mood. I've been looking for stuff to work out to.
You're inspired by this album.
Fuck off. So I've been going through their stuff. Some of it's a bit softer, but some of it hits that I need high tempo, high energy stuff for workout. I was at work this week and I just really wanted to listen to Get Back, so I downloaded that and I've been listening to that quite a bit. By the Beatles, of course. And yeah, that's about what I've been listening to. What about you, Coop? What have you been listening to?
I've been listening to a few albums myself. Listened to there's a jazz album I listened to called Gathering by Tomoke Baba, which was pretty good. Freeform jazz. I've become the SpongeBob meme. Listened to an Oingo Boingo album, Dead Man's Party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I haven't not listened to much Oingo Boingo, but
I've probably heard more Danny Elfman stuff in Tim Burton movies than Oingo Boingo.
He's done a lot of soundtrack. I'll give it the album a try. And it was goofy. I'll give him that. But it was fun. It was definitely Danny Elfman music.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something that's slightly, I guess, spooky themed, there you go. I also listened to Hell Mode by Jeff Rosenstock. That's a new album that just came out. Punk album. I enjoyed. And also listened to Coin Chapter 5 by Matana Roberts. Pretty upsetting album, but also very good. Overall, very good kind of a narrative jazz album.
What do you mean not? What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by it? What? Got jazz elements and jazz elements and like spoken word elements.
Not a good time.
I said it was a good album. This had some upsetting content, right?
Oh, okay.
But also very well delivered. So not a light listen. Yeah, so quite a smattering this week.
That's quite a bit of stuff. Well, we better wrap this one up then, because we got a whole something to do after this. So
we do.
I gotta go glaze a ham first. But anyway, that's the show for this week. If you've liked what you've listened to and you want to hear more of it, you can scroll down on the Twitch page. You can click the picture of Jeff Lynne. He's the guy with the curly hair and the aviators. That'll take you to YouTube, where almost all the past episodes are. And if you're listening on YouTube and you would like to hear more, you can go to the Twitch link in the description. Usually Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern. I think we're going to be off for a few weeks here because Cooper's busy.
Okay. You were busy, and then I made plans, and you became unbusy.
Well, it sounds like you're the one that's busy now.
That still counts as you.
What about the 2 weeks after that, Cooper?
Okay, that one's me.
Yeah. So we'll be back in a bit. I can't remember if we're doing it next week or not, but we'll see. Or not next week, the week after next. No. So the next show will be The 29th, possibly, but now I'm going to Jonah and Carmen's Den, so maybe not. So this might be the only October show.
Got it early.
So yeah, but what's the deal with Twitter, Cooper? I heard.
Well, if you follow us at Audio Shop Pod, that's POD, we'll let you know what album we're listening to and when we're listening to it.
For the duration that Twitter still exists, I guess.
So still technically exists, probably losing money, but their loss is our gain.
Yeah. Twitter should be dead. We need to get rid of it. But that's all we got for you this week. We will see you maybe in a month.
See you next time, Shoppies.
See ya.